Godzilla 2000, one of my personal top 5 Godzilla movies. It's a movie that I hold in high regard, just not in terms of the movie itself, but the actual Godzilla design. And if you're curious to see me sing nostalgic praise for the movie, up in the corner I have a link for my movie review that I did on the US release years ago. But Hiya Toys just gave us our G2K movie design figure, which is fantastic all things considering. There's a lot on the scale of the Yuji Sakai Godzilla 2000. And even that Bandai mold. Now, it's nice to see the market actually open up a tad more for actual figures that really represent the movie variation, which is a peak design itself. Without further delay though, let's jump into this figure review. The box of this action figure is just more of the usual from Hiya Toys. I don't know, it is what it is. To me, this just sells the product for anyone just casually shopping at a comic shop. It's a great shot of Godzilla, do not get me wrong. We get the classic Godzilla 2000 logo, I can applaud that, a random scratch in the background, along with random spark paintbrush effects to create some atmosphere. On the side we have the classic uniformed look. One shot of Godzilla roaring. On the opposing side, we have a side profile shot of Godzilla, which reminds me of that one particular scene from the actual movie where Godzilla is moving through the city, on his way to lay waste to the UFO. Now we do get an alternative shot of Godzilla roaring, which is actually different than the one on the side. All the credit information and of course that QR code. Top and bottom has no unique text. Just Godzilla 1999 with a black background. Alright, so let me say this. Before filming this, I opened this figure about 2 days ago, and I have a tendency to open these action figures and let a little time pass by. Just because I want to recognize both the good and the flaws, so we're going to have an honest conversation about this action figure. I've seen a few reviews that have been critical of certain aspects, and I actually see the issues, but that's not to say that I'm thinking, yeah, I regret buying this, because I don't regret buying it. So let's go ahead and give him an instant 360 look, and boy, this sculpt is out of the ballpark. We've got that wide neck, the jagged spine. Articulation points are blanketed extremely well. This I can commend. Plenty of articulation at first glance. And yes, it has its minor imperfections here and there, but on the scale, this isn't something that I'm going to go ahead and really complain about that much, because overall, it is impressive. I do think there are certain areas like the nostrils which kind of get a little lost in the mold, and some of the extra paint apps on the teeth look like a bad case of plaque. Regardless, at first glance, you don't mistaken this as Godzilla 2002 or Godzilla 2003. And anytime someone sees this suit, instantly they first think Godzilla 2000, not Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Nice, rough, and rugged, as it's supposed to be. So let's switch gears and talk about the scales, which do have a dark green coloration. It's not exactly that apparent underneath the standard lighting all that much, but I will go ahead and say as a disclaimer that my softbox lights definitely have the green popping up big time, making this look a little closer to the Mechagodzilla suit variant. For the spines underneath standard lighting, I am a little bit on the fence about, but they're more along the lines of magenta with some damn good clean fades at the center of the spines, as opposed to the actual movie, which, even in the daylight scenes, is more of a duller purple. Now, I've seen mixed opinions on the feet. Personally, based on this image, I think they look fine. It could be just the way the cuts were made that make it look a little bizarre from the side. So let's move it up to the face. The fangs get my approval, and I'd just be cautious when opening the mouth. I hate to see somebody break any of the teeth while trying to force those jaws open. My recommendation would be to pry the mouth open at the front only. Inside the mouth, I appreciate all the detail on the tongue and the roof at the bottom of the mouth. Work like this doesn't go unnoticed to me, even if we're not looking in this area every day. Get up to the fingers though, when it comes to the claws up there, they get really dodgy in terms of the paint apps. I can live with the mold, but whatever's going on this left hand right here, it just, to me, just looks really ugly, honestly. And it's just not Hiya's best work in terms of paint apps being applied to the claws. Like said, it's a smaller, more difficult area to paint. However, though, I just want to see the quality step up some. Now, just to note, any honest criticism that I've given, don't let this daunt you from buying this action figure or even enjoying it. Because really, I do enjoy it so far. Still, no regrets purchasing it. It's just that when you approach a design that's an instant classic like Godzilla 2000, if there are flaws, I gotta be honest and go ahead and point things out. I do want to note that this is my favorite all-time Godzilla design, so it would be biased for me to go ahead and say everything's perfect and just mindlessly sing praise towards Hiya Toys, because I do believe criticism, constructive criticism that is, goes a long way for the company and any collectors that are interested in buying this action figure. For what it's worth in terms of sculpt and paint apps combined, I'll go ahead and give this figure an 8.6 combined. So, articulation. We can open the jaw, you would expect that. The tongue can go up and down, slightly side to side, even if it's not meant to, I don't believe it is. I will say that the tongue does kind of get easily stuck, so you might have to use some tweezers. Just please be mindful of the paint apps, don't apply too much pressure. 3 points of articulation at the neck and are extremely well hidden, giving you this dynamic range, and the best part is it doesn't fight you the least bit. We can swing our arms around with no problem at all. The bicep on mine was a tad stiff and it barely does much, but there is some movement, double jointed elbows, and finally, the wrist is on a ball joint like usual. Cut at the waist, which gives us nice range and swings all around. Move forward. Please do not ruthlessly swing the abs around because the large spine could collide with those lower back spikes. I do question why and how Hiya Toys has not readapted what we saw out of the Godzilla spine articulation. That was an amazing idea. I thought it was really innovative, but it's just been kind of missing ever since the action figure. And I think of all the Godzillas they've been releasing lately, this would have been the ideal one to apply that to, so I don't know why that's kind of been abandoned. So I call for more of that, because it was unique. Great range out of the legs, they move nice and seamlessly, double jointed knees, and then one cut around the ankle, which gives us that foot articulation. Finally, the tail is segmented, consisting of 20 joints all connected, making it feel free and lifelike, and perfect for stop motion. I largely approve of the articulation overall, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a 9.5 out of 10. It just loses a few points for disregarding that spine articulation, which needs to come back, as I said. The accessories are just what you'd expect from this line, extra hands in the cupped position, which actually look better than the pre-installed hands, so these ones are coming off. And that's mainly because of the fact that these just look so much better, and the fact that it just has more appeal to me the way the paint apps were applied. And as tradition, let's go ahead and run through our comparison. Hiya Godzilla Evolved, SH Monster Arts Destroyer, Hiya Godzilla 91, NECA Godzilla 2003, Godzilla 2019, Hiya GMK, Hiya King Ghidorah 91, and Bandai Godzilla 2000. Now please be nice to this guy. I know he's not in the best shape. He's seen his years. He's made my childhood and my two younger brothers' childhood, and I'm happy to see him here in my collection, retired, just surviving in my adulthood. In the end, I'm satisfied with my purchase. Hardly a disappointment the least bit in terms of a release. So we already know that we're eventually going to get the Heat Ray Godzilla 2000, but I would like to see at least 2 more versions of this action figure release. One of them obviously would be the Mechaguirus variant. Now, if and when Hiya Toys should do this eventual figure, I'd advise them to alter the snout and neck, because I think that would be just one of those more movie-accurate things that the collectors would appreciate if they went ahead and just altered and modified a few things, rather than just reusing the exact same mold as it is and calling it a day. The paint apps obviously will need to be extra vibrant. That's why I kind of felt like this figure was already too colorful when it came to the spines, because these spines to me just feel more like the Mechaguirus counterpart. Finally, we need a burning Godzilla 2000 figure from Hiya Toys. This would be legit insane if they just dropped it on us. It was well received from the Godzilla 2025 short. It doesn't matter if it's not a full-length movie. Just give it to me, or better yet, give it to us all together so us Godzilla fans could keep rejoicing in the era that we're in. I'm satisfied with the final result, even though it took quite a while to get this action figure. I feel like we first saw this action figure like 2 years ago, and here it is just dropping into our collection. If you want a non-flashy Godzilla 2000 figure that represents the iconic suit from the actual movie and not Yuji Sakai, this one will indeed suit you as a collector and keep you more than content. At least I hope so. I have links in the info section, and as I'm filming this, currently INSHOBBY has them in stock. KOWKIST is still waiting for their second batch as I'm filming this, but for the future viewers that are discovering this video, I'm including their link down below, so you can go ahead and compare the costs when it comes to shipping and handling, and decide what suits you best in your financial situation. Leave a like, subscribe, get in the conversation down below. I'd love to hear your opinion. I encourage it, even if it's a hot take. Let me know, are you going to get this figure? You passing on it? Or are you more interested in the Heat Ray Godzilla 2000 with the translucent spines? Till next time, catch you around.